A Zimbabwean Sangoma stole my wife, and I believe that he made my wife to be a zombie, and I am trying to find a way in which I can rescue my wife and I can bring her back home. My brother from another mother, I am asking for help. This is my confession. I am writing this confession. I am here in South Africa. I stay in Durban. So without my wife, life has been very difficult. I was ruined after I started to visit Sangomas because of some workplace issues. Me and my wife, we strongly believed that we were being bewitched by some of the people at work. That is how I ended up losing my wife. I ended up even losing my own manhood. And I am also dying from a disease that I can't even understand, because sometimes when I am walking, sperms can just come out of my manhood without me even understanding what is happening to me. My story must not be like a movie to you. It is my real life, the painful life that I have been living. To understand how I lost my wife and my manhood to a Zimbabwean Sangoma, let me take you back to the year 2014. Back then, I was a successful man who was working as a head of department at a company in Durban as well as Joburg sometimes. I was a man who was working at that company. I did not have any problems with anyone, but I always was a strict man, always following what the company would have told me to do, and I expected those that were below me to follow my instructions. Like my dad, he raised us as if we were in the army. My dad, he was in the army as well. I always wanted to be like my father, to protect myself and to keep myself clean. I had a beautiful wife that I had been married to, and me and her, we lived a very comfortable life in the suburbs. So I was very strict, and when you are strict at work, this can make you to have enemies. It was in 2014, there was a woman who worked under me at the company. She came to my office and she wanted me to fire one of the workers in our department unfairly. So she openly asked me to do this so that she could bring her own son to take that job. I looked at her and I said, no, I cannot do that. Our company protocol does not allow us to fire a person just to give the job to your relative. Everything must be done through the proper HR channels. She was very angry and she started to hate me from that day onwards. She would always gossip about me, saying things like, he thinks he's powerful because he's in the office. We are going to see him what is going to happen to his job. So I never took the office gossip seriously. I thought that maybe she was just angry because she did not get what she wanted. After the argument, my life changed forever. One morning, whilst I was at my desk, my left arm suddenly went numb. I could not feel my arm. I tried to speak, but I don't know what was happening, and I did not know at that time that I was having a stroke. At the hospital, when they took me there, the doctors managed to save my life. It was a minor stroke that my left leg and arm were very weak. I could no longer walk properly and I had to stay home. Because I was a healthy man who had never been sick before, my family and friends immediately suspected that this was not normal. Someone had done some African magic on me. And that is when me and my wife, we decided to visit a Sangoma. After we had started looking for traditional healers, we hired many South African Sangomas from your Durban, even Mozambique. We spent a lot of money, but nothing was working. My leg remained weak and I was losing hope. Then a family friend told us about a very powerful Sangoma who was living in Johannesburg, and I was told that this person could even heal someone that was paralyzed by witchcraft, beaten by tokoloshis. even mad people as well. I wanted to get my health back. That was when we went to visit him. And when we went to visit him the first time around, he assisted me. By the time that we left Joburg, I was able to at least film that I could move my fingers and I was able as well to move my leg just a little bit, just tiny movements, and it felt so exhausting just to do something like that. Eventually, we sent him money for his transport, and we brought him all the way to Joburg we brought him all the way from Joburg to our house in Durban. This man, when he came to our house, he looked around and he said that he felt that inside my house there was a topology that was in them. This was the reason as to why when I had returned back to Durban and walked into my house, I started to get sick all over again. I did not know that this Zimbabwean man, he was thinking about stealing my wife. He wanted to destroy me. He started with my treatment and everything, but he did something that was very strange, gents. Just that I was a sick man. He called my wife into the bedroom. He was alone in my bedroom and they had left me. I was sleeping on the couch because I could not move by then. He gave my wife, this was what my wife told me, but they did not spend too much time in the bedroom, maybe about a minute or 2 minutes. He gave my wife a small stone which he told my wife to put inside of her pillow, and he told my wife that this stone that she was supposed to put inside of the pillow, it was to protect her husband whilst he was fast asleep, and he was supposed to put the stone inside the pillow. It was going to block the bad spirit that were coming from the workplace. My wife and I, we decided that she was supposed to do this. I even told her to make sure that the stone, it was inside the pillow each and every night. That was the beginning of my nightmare. A few days after this Sangoma had left our house, have you ever been with a visitor that seems like they don't want to leave anymore? That is what happened to this Sangoma. When we brought him to Durban, we did not know that he was thinking about staying. We stayed with him. The first week it was okay, second week, third week, and then it was a month, 2 months, 3 months. We're still staying with our visitor. You know, you start to feel somehow you don't want to chase your visitor away, but then he's starting to bring some of his customers, and I was like, nah man, this is not the thing that we agreed upon. And we said, uncle, maybe it is time that maybe you can return back to your family there in Joburg. He then returned, but he just looked at me funny when he was being taken to the bus by my wife. So already my wife, there were things that were happening to her, but when I would wake up, she will stop. But when this uncle had left us, that was when I started to realize that everything that was happening to my wife, it was just abnormal. My wife will do strange things in our bed. In the middle of the night, when I would wake up, I would feel that the bed is shaking gently, like there are people that are making love. When I would look closely at my wife, she would be sleeping on her back, her legs wide open. Sometimes she will even have her leg against the wall. She would be moving her waist and her hips up and down as if she was sleeping with a man, and she would even make those sexual sounds. And whenever I would wake up, I would ask him, what is going on? She would be like, it's nothing. It was just a dream. Let us go back to sleep. But I knew that there was something that was happening to him. Every time she slept on that pillow, she would move her waist in that sexual way. As the weeks went by, I think that maybe the spiritual burden became too heavy for her to carry alone. One day, she sat with me and she started to cry. Finally, she opened up and she told me what was happening. She said, my husband, every single night, I keep on having these intense sexual dreams, and in those dreams, I'm not sleeping with you. I am sleeping with that Sekuru, that Sangoma that we hired. He's coming to me, we sleep together, and it feels so nice. I don't know what is happening to me. I was shocked to hear my wife saying that she was enjoying having sex with another man in her dreams. And this was because of the treatment that the Sangoma had given to me to help me recover from the stroke and I can become a real man again. Yes, the stroke had been healing, and that Sangoma had given me a special traditional charm from his country. This charm, the way that I was supposed to use it, I was supposed to drink it every morning and to rub some of it on my private parts. He promised me that the medicine was going to make me very strong in bed. I'll be able to go many rounds without getting tired. It was true. When I was healed, when I could walk, return back to work, my manhood somehow became very strong. I could last for hours, and my physical weakness from the stroke disappeared when it came to sex, and I could sleep with my wife for hours until she complained. I started to have girlfriends because I was always high. I wanted to sleep with a woman almost each and every hour. What I started to notice was that whenever I was on top of my wife, I started to have this uncontrollable, crazy cravings for sex. It was no longer normal. Even when I was at work, I would sit in my office and start to imagine sleeping with the women that I was working with. I would lock myself in my office and then I would start to masturbate. I would find myself even in the toilet at work with my phone, watching porn, masturbating, doing things that I had never done in my life. I would be thinking about sex every single minute of the day. The most terrifying part was that what happened when I was actually sleeping with my wife. Whenever I was having sex with my wife, my mind, it will completely leave the room. For no reason, I'll start imagining about this Zim Sangoma. I am not gay by any kind of a way, but I will start to imagine as if this man, he was with us, that Sangoma, and I would picture him standing beside me. I would actually imagine that it was him who was sleeping with my wife whilst I was watching. I would try to make him get outside of my mind, but I could not. Even when I went to sleep with my other girlfriends, I would always find myself thinking about this Sangoma from Zim. So as the days went by, my marriage, it was no longer the same. The sex, it was amazing that I would give to my wife, but the love, it was no longer there. Even my wife, the way that she would speak with me, it was like she did not care about me anymore. One afternoon, whilst this man was not around, when I had invited him back because I told him about this, he then said to me that there was a tokoloshi that had been sent again by those people that had been bewitching me. So he came, and when he came, he had a small book. It had the names of all the people. Some of them I don't know, but most of the names that were written there were people that he had assisted whilst he was here in South Africa, with the names of the people and the places that they stayed, including my own name and my own wife. What surprised me was that he had another page where he had written the names of the women that he had assisted, but this page, it was a red page that he had written. So I could not understand, why is it that my wife was having these sexual dreams and this man, he had a book with the names of the women written on a red page? So I just returned everything in its original place. Eventually, I ended up fighting with this man because my wife one day told me that when I was not at home, this man that was in my house had attempted to sleep with my wife. I was angry. That guy, he ran away. When he ran away, Brother Nashi, he just pointed this walking stick that he had at me. Then he ran away. I wanted to shoot that guy and I did not see him anymore. Later on, me and my wife, we started to fight. We would fight like each and every day for no reason at all. She was someone that was now stubborn. When I would ask her to do something for me, she was always angry at me for no reason at all. Then my problems started again. I started to have erectile dysfunction. And my wife, when she would say that she wants us to sleep together, and then I would tell her that I am unable to sleep with her because my manhood is not much that stiff. My wife, she will get angry at me and she will say that she is going to find a man to sleep with. Fast forward, my wife, one day when I returned back from work, I found out that her clothes were gone. I called her, but her phone was switched off. I called her sister, and the sister did not know as well what had happened to him. And later on, that was when we discovered that my wife had fled the country because she had actually taken a passport without us even knowing that this was what she was doing, and she had fled the country. So as the years went by, from 2019, 2025, what I started to notice was that ever since my wife ran away, when I got remarried, I did not legally got remarried. I just had a woman that I had a child with in the year 2023. And then she started to notice, maybe I was not even noticing. She said, "What is wrong with your manhood? It's like it keeps on decreasing in size." Yes, I started to notice that my manhood was no longer the same size. It is now 7 centimeters. The last time that I measured with a ruler, only 7 centimeters. I have been losing the centimeters on my private part, and now my private part, it looks like that of a very small boy. And as from my wife, ever since she went to that country in Zim, she has never returned. But I am always having these dreams. I am not the only one that is having these weird dreams about my wife. I do have one of my wife's relative who is my brother-in-law. He is also practicing as a Sangoma. He called us to a family meeting. When I went there, he started to cry. I then asked him why was he crying, and he said that the ancestors had revealed something that was quite terrifying to him, and he wanted to share with us, in which he told us that my wife, she had juju used on her to control her mind, because the Sangoma was lasting after my wife, and now that she is stuck in Zim, she is a zombie. I then said, let us go and fetch her. My brother is saying that unless we find another Sangoma that is experienced in dealing with a person that has been made to become a zombie, if we just go and take her by force, we return with her back to South Africa, what is going to happen is that she can even end up committing suicide, because they did a ritual. When she arrived there, they did a ritual in which they killed a goat, and my wife was made to eat the heart of that goat that was killed whilst it was uncooked. She shared the meal with that Sangoma. When they did this ritual, it is a spiritual covenant that they did, which means that if the Sangoma were to say that my wife is going to die today, my wife is going to die, and my wife cannot live anymore when she is far away from this Sangoma, because their hearts, they are joined together by the blood of that God that they spilled. Hence, I am looking for someone that comes from the other side of Limpopo to help me. If there is anyone that you know of that can assist me, we want to come to Zim so that we can face this Sangoma, and I can be able to take my wife back to SA so that she can be cleansed. She has been there for a very long time. I have not spoken with her, but her brother said that the ancestors told him that she is still alive. She wishes to return back home, but she was made to be like a zombie. Dear listeners, right, there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear brother. Let us speak with our brother in the comment section. If you know anyone that can assist this family, you can get in touch with us on Facebook, and then we can give you the phone numbers of this family. Do you think that the woman is now a zombie, or maybe she made her own decision to walk away, but just to walk away from her marriage, from her kids, from her house, to go and to live with a Sangoma in Zim? Do you think that it is normal? Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.